Ma'am, we do not have the audio. I think you have to join with the audio, ma'am. Reshare and click the button that says share the video audio as well.
Ma'am, is it audible now?
Not yet, ma'am. Ma'am, you play, please. Not yet.
No, it's not audible. Gayatri ma'am, shall I do from my side? It's not audible actually.
Ma'am, I think that would be better, ma'am. I think we can have the music from your end and we can start.
Please stop sharing the screen, then I shall do that.
Durga ma'am, you play the video as well.
Yeah, I'm just doing it.
I can see Dr. Pallavi from the HOD, from the gyms. We welcome you as well.
Thank you. Over to Eknur Khurana, who's the host.
So to improve the golden moment of opportunity and catch the good that is in our reach is the great art of life. So I, Iknoor Khurana, the host for this valedictory session, on behalf of the whole National Law Conference team, welcomes you all to the valedictory session of the annual National Law Conference on Artificial Intelligence and Law, a close interface organized by Delhi Metropolitan Education on virtual mode. Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Sri Durga ma'am to welcome the dignitaries.
It is such a wonderful opportunity to welcome all the dignitaries present here. I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Nishtha Jaswal, who is a Vice Chancellor of HPNLU. I also would like to welcome Professor Dr. Rashmi Nagpal ma'am, who is a Dean, Shobhit University. I also like to welcome Honorable Justice Bhavar Singh, Director General at DME and retired Judge, Allahabad High Court. I also extend my warm welcome to Dr. Pallavi, who is a head at GIMS, to Professor Dr. Ravikant Swamy sir, Director, DME, Professor Dr. Bhavish Gupta sir, Head of Academics, DME Law School, and also would like to at this point acknowledge Mr. Aman Sani, who is our Vice Chairman at DME. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So now I would like to request Professor Dr. Bhavish Gupta sir, the Head of Academics, DME Law School, to introduce the Honorable Chief Guest of the evening, Professor Nishtha Jaswal.
Thank you so much, Iknoor. It's in fact a great pleasure for me to introduce our eminent chief guest, Professor Dr. Nishtha Jaswal ji, Vice Chancellor, Himachal Pradesh National Law University, Shimla. Ma'am is a renowned academician who has a specialization in constitutional law, administrative law, human rights, and environmental law, with a rich teaching experience of around 33 years. And even more than that is her research experience spreading around 35 years. Ma'am has got around 58 papers published in the reputed journals, and around 25 papers has been presented by her in national and international seminars and conferences. Besides this, she has got 6 books published, and one of her books, titled Environmental Law, has been cited thrice by the Supreme Court in the landmark judgment reported as In Re Noise Pollution 2005 SCC 733. The judgment was authored by Honorable R.C. Lahoti, the then Chief Justice of India. What a great achievement. In fact, we all are honored by your esteemed presence, ma'am. She has been awarded by various scholar awards, such as, just to mention the few, she has been awarded the British Academy Visiting Professorship in 1992, received university, state, government, and national merit scholarships, was awarded Amity Excellence Award 2019 by Amity University, Noida, and the list goes on. With this, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our honorable chief guest, Ms. Nishtha Jaswal. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. So now I would like to courteously invite our honorable chief guest to address the audience with her knowledgeable words. Can we have you, ma'am?
Thank you, beta. Honorable Justice Bhavar Singh, Director General, DME Law School, Professor Bhavish Gupta, Director, DME Law School, Organizing Committee, all the family members of DME Law School, participants, viewers, distinguished guests. At the very outset, I'm really thankful to DME Law School for inviting me to this wonderful conference on a wonderful topic, which is of current importance. I know much water must have flown down the bridges till now, because this is the valedictory function. And as we are ushering in an era where we love, we worship, we adore artificial intelligence. And this is only because of artificial intelligence that today I am virtually present in this valedictory function. we can better say that this artificial intelligence is in fact become a reality in the new normal. Everybody knows what is artificial intelligence. The only issue is that we are trying to substitute human beings with artificial intelligence, thinking, believing that artificial intelligence has all the abilities which any human being has. Like it can discern meaning, it can journalize, it can look at the intricacies, peruse the nuances, and even respond dynamically to the changed situations. No doubt, many a time we find better decision making and we enhance our experiences while using this artificial intelligence. I would like to quote a book, excerpt from the book written by Andrew McAfee and Eric Brynjolfsson. They wrote, I quote, "The evidence is overwhelming that whenever the option is available, relying on data and algorithms alone usually leads to better decisions and forecasts than relying on the judgment of even experienced and expert humans." I unquote. But at the same time, fear is harsher and stronger. That if the environment remains unregulated, then what will happen? Then human control will be lost and there may be unfortunate outcomes. Immediately, I'm reminded of some panic, some fears. I can quote Stephen Hawking. Once he told BBC, I quote, "The development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. It would take off on its own and redesign itself at an ever increasing rate. Humans, who are limited by slow biological evolution, couldn't compete and would be superseded." I unquote. Even going beyond this criticism, I can quote American mathematician Claude Shannon. "I visualize a time when we will be to robots what dogs are to humans, and I'm rooting for the machines." I unquote. Fear is really very strong. And if we try to evaluate and analyze, we can foresee what we were already suffering: unemployment, especially in the developing countries like India. And when the human beings will be substituted by machines, by artificial intelligence, then this problem may aggravate. And this is written large on the future walls. Many legal and ethical questions also arise. I can talk about year 2015, when the British House of Commons published a report on robotics and artificial intelligence, which highlighted certain ethical and legal issues, including transparent decisions, minimizing bias, privacy, and accountability. At the same time, I can talk about the year 2018, when the European Commission's high-level expert group on artificial intelligence released the first draft of the draft ethics guidelines, and these guidelines required an ethical response, an ethical purpose, and technical robustness. So we have to bring out a balance that no doubt we have to move forward towards progress. And of course, in the modern technical world, gone are the days. I remember when I was in school, we used to get a question in the English exam, write an essay on science as a boon or bane. Now, gone are those days. Now we can talk about technology as a boon or a bane, and artificial intelligence is an integral part of that technology. In the year 2019, even in Canada, the board released a directive that there must be some control on decision making by or through artificial intelligence. Now, what can be those control mechanisms? Now, we are law students and we can talk about it. We refer to administrative law principles. We talk about use of power. We talk about transparency. We talk about procedural fairness. Now, to what extent we will be able to follow these? And these recommendations are made in Canada in 2019. And keeping apart the ethical questions, because ethics we have to join with even emotions. No doubt, we are perhaps just doubting our intelligence, or we want to strengthen our intelligence, and we are using artificial intelligence. We may be able to increase the IQ level, not of human beings, but with the help of artificial intelligence. But what about emotional quotient? Can we increase? Let us wait for the day when we will have emotionally strong artificial intelligence. But legal questions arise. Whether the existing law can be made applicable to artificial intelligence, decision making, action taking, any kind of intervention, because days not far off, the complete even criminal justice system may be taken over by the artificial intelligence. Or we need some new laws to be framed by the legislature. Now, another question immediately emerges. We know how much time it takes by the legislature to frame new laws. Then what would you do? Can you knock at the doors of the courts? Now, if you say yes, I question it. No court will direct the legislature to frame laws to deal with artificial intelligence. Then which option is open? Then again, we are modernized and advanced, and we will accept the guidelines by the judiciary as judicial legislation till the gap is left by the legislature. And at the same time, if we have certain laws, like we may refer to IT Act to a very, very limited extent, again, we need amendment in such laws. We are just waiting. Issues arise and the matter reaches the Supreme Court. We have new interpretations. We have new list of fundamental rights added to the Equality Island or to right to life or personal liberty. I can quote, the progress has started in Supreme Court by the Supreme Court of United States. I can refer to a decision of 2018, Washington versus Emanuel. The court accepted the use of genotyping software program that analyzed complex DNA mixtures based on artificial intelligence software without having access to its source code. Now, the moment I talk about source code, I'll be referring to immediately the question of privacy emerges. And in 2017, in another case of State versus Loomis, the Wisconsin Supreme Court held that a trial judge's use of an algorithmic risk assessment software in sentencing did not violate the accused's due process rights, even though the methodology used to produce the assessment was neither disclosed to the accused nor to the court. I hope you can understand that where we are leading to. We are just changing the basic concepts. Now, I can refer to Indian situation under Article 21, where we talk about no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. And after Maneka Gandhi's case and Mittu versus State of Punjab, we talk about substantive due process as well as procedural due process. Now, here we always talk about informing, giving, recognizing and applying proper procedure. Do we have a procedure? When some decision is taken, some action is taken through artificial intelligence, and then immediately I can remind you of what happened in 2018. No doubt we are progressing through artificial intelligence. I can refer to Swapnil Tripathi versus Supreme Court of India in 2018, where the Supreme Court decided to go online, live streaming of proceedings of the Supreme Court. We have already live streaming of the proceedings of the parliament. So there are, in fact, positives of artificial intelligence, but immediately another question is, do we need another part, a third, to deal with artificial intelligence? Or do we need to amend part third of the constitution, because number of issues may arise? Then in case of human beings, when any decision is taken, we try to distinguish between arbitrary exercise of power and discretionary exercise of power. Here, what kind of limitations we would be able to impose? If I talk about privacy, number of questions arise. Data protection, data privacy, and can data be sold? Should the shared data be de-identified to protect privacy concerns? Now, governments, they are updating their legislation or framing new legislations. We can refer to European Union GDPR, and at the same time, the Data Protection Bill in India of year 2019. Now, we do talk about collection of data with all concerns, maintain privacy, and even the person who owns the data can ask the information and the data to be used only for the purpose for which it beyond that. Number of issues always increase. If we talk about this, the contracts between the parties. Now here, because now we go online, we use apps, we use softwares. Then again, the questions which have been answered clearly in Indian Contract Act have to be revisited. And at the same time, when we talk about the liabilities, especially tortious liability, when the artificial intelligence is either the master or the servant, number of questions may arise. Who is responsible? Who can be made liable? Programmer, developer, user, or can we bring technology in a court of law? Can we hang technology for violating our rights? So these issues are very, very important. And I can quote, in 2016, investigation by ProPublica revealed that number of US cities, they have tried to create algorithms or softwares that whenever such use of artificial intelligence is there, then ethical issues must be taken care of. But I tell you, the data there also speaks in number of situations. When we talk about the offenders, the tilt is towards the white people, racial discrimination. Reason being, after all, who does the programming? So that question we need to discuss in detail so that we just delete all kinds of biases. And very, very important question, which is at the root, whether a robot will be a person, cannot be a natural person, but whether a robot can be a legal person. And again, we will have to revisit all the theories related, all the approaches relating to legal personality, and then only we can decide. And in fact, I'm a person who works in combination of head and heart. So I always talk about the emotional content, because you're an academician, you may be occupying any position. I'm very frank to admit and say that if you work in a combination of head and heart, you succeed. If you work only confining to norms, that is only using your brains, then you invite troubles, because you must understand how to maintain equilibrium and how to be flexible, how to be strict. Now you can be soft. So many a time we can say light but tight decisions have to be taken. And finally, I'll conclude. I can share with all of you that I'm a poet by heart. So I'm going to present what perhaps my words could not say. कैसे कहूं और कैसे दोहराऊं, कैसे कहूं और कैसे दोहराऊं, अपनी बुद्धि को कृत्रिमता का पहरावा पहनाऊं. कैसे कहूं और कैसे दोहराऊं, अपनी बुद्धि को कृत्रिमता का पहरावा पहनाऊं, एहसास से आभास का सफर कराऊं, एहसास से आभास का सफर कराऊं, मैं असलियत छोड़ स्वप्निल हो जाऊं, मैं असलियत छोड़ स्वप्निल हो जाऊं. मैं क्यों कहूं और क्यों दोहराऊं, मैं क्यों कहूं और क्यों दोहराऊं, मशीनों की काबिलियत पाऊं, फिर क्यों अपना मस्तिष्क थकाऊं, मशीनों की काबिलियत पाऊं, फिर क्यों अपना मस्तिष्क थकाऊं, बस एक पासवर्ड ही याद कर पाऊं, बस एक पासवर्ड ही याद कर पाऊं. मैं क्या कहूं और क्या दोहराऊं, मैं क्या कहूं और क्या दोहराऊं, थाम कलम नहीं अब जादू दिखाऊं, थाम कलम नहीं अब जादू दिखाऊं, अंगुलियों से बटन दबाऊं, तारीफें लिखाई आज भूल जाऊं, तारीफें लिखाई आज भूल जाऊं. मैं किधर कहूं और किधर दोहराऊं, मैं किधर कहूं और किधर दोहराऊं, न जाने कब किसी रोबोट को राखी बांधाऊं, न जाने कब किसी रोबोट को राखी बांधाऊं, किसी वर्चुअल इमेज से 7 फेरे ले और बेजान मशीन से कन्यादान करा, बटन दबा डोली में बैठ जाऊं. आज इस वर्चुअल सम्मेलन में डिजिटल भावनाएं ढूंढ लाऊं, आज इस वर्चुअल सम्मेलन में डिजिटल भावनाएं ढूंढ लाऊं, क्योंकि डिजिटल सखियां हैं मेरी, क्योंकि डिजिटल सखियां हैं मेरी. आज चले नवजीवन की ओर, आज चले नवजीवन की ओर, शायद भ्रष्टाचार और झूठ से छूट जाऊं, शायद भ्रष्टाचार और झूठ से छूट जाऊं. एंड फाइनली आई प्रे टू गॉड, ए रब इतनी सी मेहर करना मुझ पे, ए रब इतनी सी मेहर करना मुझ पे, ये कृत्रिमता का दिया मेरे हाथ से ही जले, ये कृत्रिमता का दिया मेरे हाथ से ही जले. आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड. कंट्रोल शुड बी इन माय हैंड्स. आई डोंट वांट what fear Claude Shannon had expressed. I don't want that should prove true. Thank you and God bless all of us.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your influential words, your marvelous poetry, and we are charmed by your sharp fluency. So the end of the story is the new beginning for many others. On this note, let's conclude this session. As we come to the close of this valedictory session, I invite Professor Dr. Betpriya ma'am to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Iknoor. So respected dignitaries, faculty members, and all the dear students and participants present here. As the convener of this national conference, it's my honor and privilege to present this vote of thanks. I begin by sincerely thanking our chief guest, Professor Dr. Nishtha Jaswal, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Himachal Pradesh National Law University, for taking time for gracing this event. Thank you, ma'am, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here today. We are very, very honored to have you.
Beta, God bless all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I also have a long list of people who have been very instrumental in organizing this event. So first of all, I would like to thank our Honorable Chairman, Vice Chairman, Sir Aman Sahni, for his vision. To DG, Sir, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhavar Singh, for his mentorship, guidance, and blessings. Thank you so very much, sir. I would also like to thank respected Director, Sir, Professor Dr. Ravikant Swami, for his immense support throughout that event, for always having an effective solution to all our problems. I would thank respected Head of Academics, Professor Dr. Bhavish Gupta, sir, for his unconditional support and encouragement throughout the preparatory process. To all the heads of different law schools who are present here, Dr. Rashmi, Dr. Pallavi, and others, for your enthusiasm, interest, and encouragement to the conference. I would definitely like to thank the faculty team, my co-convener, Ms. Shri Durga, Dr. Randhava, Mr. Gunjan, and Ms. Gayatri for making this such a successful event. And most importantly, I would like to thank the student team of Gaurav Vardhan, Lakshya Malhotra, Eknoor Khurana, and Neeraj, and all the others who are present here for their dedicated, meticulous, and enthusiastic organization who have worked so hard despite braving exams to make this event a grand success. It would not have been possible without them, and thank you so much for that. Very, very well done. Last but not the least, to the participants who contributed to this conference. You are the heart and soul of this conference. This would not have been possible without you. With this, we reach to the end of this conference. I wish you all a very good day and thank you so much for joining us.
So signing off, please stay back for the attendance. A form is already circulated in the chat box.
Thank you so much. With this, I request Navjot ma'am to stop the live feed on the Facebook.